Hi, welcome to the Antique Trader, and we have a very special program for you today. We have with us the San Antonio Coronation Association Court of the 20th Century. And it's very, very special, and you'll see what I'm talking about. If history is in the heart of the collector, this is a program that you must watch. It's going to be a two-part program, and this is the first part of the program. We're going to begin our program with our guest, Mary Roselle, and she's going to give us a brief history of the venue here where we're taping. Tell us a little bit about it, Mary.
My husband and I and our business bought this venue 4 years ago. It was a rose garden where they actually sold flowers, and since we don't sell flowers, we decided to turn it into a wedding and event center. We've had weddings, quinceañeras, family reunions, corporate events, birthday parties, children's birthday parties.
Do you know anything about the building itself?
This building is approximately 20 years old. This building was built as a party room. There are several houses on property that I know one was brought to this place from across town. It was purchased and loaded on a truck and brought across. We offer a bridal changing area, a groom's changing area, and another little party house on the other end of the property.
Thank you so much. Okay, Rhonda, you're going to tell us about the founder of this magnificent event. Tell us a little bit about it.
Farrell Tyson was an artist who began this event for young women who were kind of coming of age. It began very simply with just a gathering of families who would just buy dresses and add appliques to them. But it grew over the years, over the 60 years that it's been in existence. It grew to include his elaborate designs that the families would create. And the special thing about Farrell is that for those of us young women who were transitioning from childhood into young womanhood, Farrell had a way of exciting in us, or having us be excited to learn about grace and poise, and learning about how to become a young woman who could speak and act with confidence and grace, rather than having a demeanor of shaking his finger and saying, hey, a young woman should act like this. It was more of just a sense of excitement in this change that we were all going through, and by having us be a part of something that took patience and time with our families, we learned all of those things and were excited about it. Rather than feeling that we had to do something, we felt excited to this next step of our lives. And in the creation of the dresses, we learned history from him. We learned artwork. We sat with our families. I sat with my grandfather, who participated in making my dresses, and it knitted families together as well. So it knitted your own family together, and then your family to another family, and formed a community.
You knew Mr. Farrell personally?
Yes.
What type of a person was he?
He was an artist. He could get an idea from anything, and then he would say, oh, this is how we're going to express this. This is how we're going to draw it, or this is how we're going to create it. And he was always positive, always complimentary of people, always looking for the best, and bringing that out in others.
That's great. Okay, Megan, you are the president of the association here, the Coronation Association. Could you tell us, as coordinator, what it is exactly that you do for them?
I'm sorry.
As the coordinator, president?
Oh, so I'm the president over the association, which is a board of individuals that have volunteered their time to our organization. And we make decisions on where the event's going to be held, when it's going to be held, what the theme for the court is going to be for the current year and following years. We work together to be assistants, to have assistance available to any young lady that is new to the organization in starting to build their gown and train. We also make sure that we have lighting when needed, and photographers where needed, and stage props.
You wear a lot of hats. You're a very busy lady.
Not
I understand.
independently. We have a big team of individuals that have a passion to help these young ladies on their path to adulthood.
Thank you. Okay, Larry, this is the vice president of the association, and he does design and sewing. You're a sewing father. Tell us about that.
I'm fortunate to have had 2 daughters that have been duchesses and one that is a princess. My youngest daughter has been a page since the age of 5. She was able to get in 1 year early. During the time when my wife was away, I had to help my oldest daughter by helping design and sew her train. And then as my middle child, she first became a duchess, we also helped it. My wife was deployed in the Army, so I was the dad at the house helping out. One of the wonderful things is that you do have an opportunity to ask all the ladies to help out, and we have a lot of fathers that help. People aren't aware that it's not just the ladies that do the work. The men are there in a supporting role, not only with the sewing, the designing, the transportation, the maintenance, the physical labor. The men are the ones that help with the stage. We help whatever our children need, whatever our wives need. There's not one single father who is not 100% behind this organization.
Do you actually do physical hand sewing?
Yes, physical hand sewing. The expression that I was taught by the ladies when I first came in is every single train has your blood on it. And it's not just an expression, it is truly the amount of time.
So do you find that it's a very difficult task for a man to actually start putting on sequins? And your friends out there will ask you, what were you doing last night? Well, I was sewing on sequins.
Actually, it was kind of interesting because I would go to a sporting event or I would go to an activity with my family and I would sit there and sew. And initially they gave you that kind of awkward look, but they know that you do anything for your children. And that's,
Your heart and soul is
it's
in it.
there.
Thank you so much. Okay, and here we have Dolores Villarreal. Okay, mistress of the robes and the jewels. Tell us about that, please.
Okay, as mistress of the robes, I set up events for the girls to come and meet the board members, discuss the expectations for the year, and also we have a sketch selection day where the girls will select their sketch for the coronation. After that, their sketches get enlarged. I have a workshop in which the girls and the families come, and I present handbooks on the construction of the dresses and trains. Then I have 2 board members that will go over the handbook and specify important events that or objects that they need to make the dresses and their trains. After that, I also order supplies to make the trains and the dresses and buy in bulk. And as the families need them, they come to me and I'll have them ready for them, such as sequins, rhinestones, so on, crystals, flat backs, and they're emeralds.
Tell me about the crowns.
The crowns, the queen's crown is usually handed down year by year. The princesses buy their crowns. Some crowns for the duchesses are handmade, and that's when, if you're really crafty, you can really make a pretty crown. And they used all the jewels that I have to make the crowns.
Oh, okay. Okay, Dolores does, what else do you do, Dolores? That's about it?
That's about it.
Okay. And Hope, could you tell us about, she's the advertising chairman?
Yes, I joined this organization about 30 years ago. My daughter was nominated to be a duchess, and reluctantly I agreed to let her do it. I had always been involved in doing community service. I was part of the Miss America system and the Miss Universe system. But when I joined this association, it was just amazing, because when I found out, I was new to the whole system, and my daughter was a duchess, and then she was nominated queen, and it was just amazing that we didn't have any judges, because I was used to people judging the girls in their evening gown, their swimsuit, their interview. And this was just awesome because the queen is picked by the girls themselves. The court, the reigning court picks the queen for the following year.
Okay, what do you do as advertising? Tell us about...
I do the advertising for the coronation. I sell the ads and I get the book ready, the annual book for the coronation. So I guess you could say
And tell us a little bit about this year's book.
This year's book, this year, because it's our 60th anniversary, we are going to be offering our book in black and color. So if you want to purchase an ad, you can do it. You have a choice of doing it in color or doing it in black.
Okay.
And we have all the way from a business card. Any people can't do a business card, we ask for a donation. It's strictly done by donations and people like everyone here getting together as a community and helping each other. And that's about it.
That's great.
I guess you could say I'm the person that people hide from me when they see me coming.
That's great. Thank you so much, Hope. And when we come back, we will have Joe Gale Stark speaking on fellowship. And then we'll continue on to the beautiful gowns and trains, and we have a very exciting program ahead. So we'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to the Coronation Association, the Court of the 20th Century, and we're here with Joe Gale Stark. Okay, and she's going to be talking about fellowship.
The Coronation Association is wonderful in that the families get together and make these dresses and trains. And it's not just family, it's friends, it's usually whoever you can drag in the door. And it's a combined group that sits around usually ping pong tables to make these trains, makes the appliques. And we sit around and talk about our husbands and our families and our children and exchange recipes and just generally have a loving atmosphere.
How did you get involved in this?
I was a duchess in 1975 in the Court of Our Legacy.
Okay, and you told me something else about your father?
Oh, which one?
No, you told me that it would keep you very close.
Yes, when I was first asked to be a duchess, I went to my mother and she said, "Oh, I can make that." And she said, "Okay, Dad, Joe, are we going to do this?" And he looked at it and he said, "Well, when is this?" And we told him the date. And he said, "Well, that's fine, but you know, I'm going hunting in Colorado."
So he wasn't going to be available for this thing.
And he changed his tune. He learned to love it. And when we had company in the house, he learned how to thread needles. And he found out that hunting season started the week after coronation, thank goodness. So.
That's wonderful. Thank you for being here, and I appreciate it. Hope to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and here we have Rochelle. And you make designs. Tell us about your designs.
Okay, so I'm actually part of a design team. There is 4 of us currently, and we design the dresses. Each person has a certain number of designs that they contribute to each court, and the girls get to select the designs. So based on their interview, we interview them, and based on what they tell us, we'll pick what design we have that we feel fits their personality, and then they get to pick their design, and we move on from there.
How do you create your designs? What gives you the inspiration to create these lovely designs?
So really it starts with a theme. So This year's court was the court of the 20th century. So it really went into, okay, what really inspired us about each decade. So the only design that I did in this particular court was the 90s. And I had to really think about the 90s. So some of the things that came to mind was like grunge. Well, how am I going to make grunge elegant? I really can't. I'm not that good. So one of the things that also came to mind was technology. And that was when cell phones started coming out. That's when everyone got online.
So
But-
how many cell phones do you have on this train?
There's no cell phones on this train.
Oh, okay.
Because what I decided was what happened that brought people back from technology and gave them something else to focus on. So at the time, Harry Potter released the first 3 books in the 90s. And so I really wanted to celebrate childhood imagination and kids coming back and reading books. So that's what our 90s dress is based on.
That must be gorgeous. So
You'll be able to see it.
how long did it take you to create that particular design?
That particular one took a few hours over about a month. I did my first design. I got different people's inputs on it from the association as well as other designers, since it was my first design. And then I would revise it. So it was probably revised about 3 different times.
So how actually are the designers picked?
It's a volunteer organization. So your first year, you're in a mentorship program. So another designer essentially helps you. So you volunteer, another designer helps you for your first dress. And then after that, you're a designer if your designs
So
get picked.
you are actually learning a whole career. You're an intern to whatever it is that you're doing. Am I correct?
Well, this isn't, for me, this is a hobby. This isn't a career, it's a hobby.
Well, this is a whole
But it is very
schooling
time
event.
consuming, yes.
Yes, I mean, it's learning something new and getting very technical about it.
Absolutely. So each of our designers have their own specialty. So for example, Lindsay is very good with fabrics. Tori is an amazing artist. And Dee has done fantastic work over the years. I don't really think she has a specialty, she's just really good. And for me, I really focus on embellishment. That's my passion when it comes to the dress designs. So that's what I focus on. The fabrics are here or there. If you want an expensive, fancy fabric with sequins all over it, I'll work with it. But I prefer the hand embellishing and the rhinestones and the stuff that goes on top of it. So that's what I focus when I draw my designs. That's what I'm focusing on, is the embellishment part.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Thank you for being on the program. Okay, we're going to go over here to Sonia, and she's going to show us how this is all put together. How are you today?
I am doing really well. Thank you so much. This is a multi-step process. You have a drawing, and it's something simple or elaborate as whatever the designer has picked, and say it's the letter G. You put a fabric called crinoline. It's a utility fabric. You put it over and you trace it. You use pencil or you can use a Sharpie. From there, you have to place it upside down on a fabric that you're going to use for that particular embellishment. Here I used a silver lame tissue. It's rather thin, and you have to be careful when you use an adhesive.
Please, if I could hold this up and you can hold the backing.
The backing is rather see-through, but it's a stiffening agent. It's got to stiffen. It's a utility fabric, but you put it upside down so that the good side of the fabric is now showing. And then we embellish with sequin. And where the rule is, every line is covered in a silver sequin. And from there, this is what happens when you do it upside down. You get the G, but it's upside down. From there, you embellish. And you can use stones, you can use mirrors, you can use rhinestones, you can use colored beads.
Okay, now that we're talking about embellishment, I see this has, what is it?
This is black sequin. and it's you use an adhesive. We do not use Elmer's. Elmer's has a tendency to run, and it doesn't dry quickly. There's several adhesives that people like to use. I've got my favorite. Other people have theirs.
Okay, because in the hot sun here, I'm sure you'll melt piece by piece.
In the hot sun here in Texas sun, most glues soften with the heat, so you have to tack these sequin down, and you just run little, they call rocailles or seed beads.
How long would you say one letter takes to do?
I'm pretty fast, and it'll probably take me about an hour. Because some ladies like to put.
When you were saying fast, I thought maybe 20 minutes, an hour, okay?
Well, it depends on what the designer wants and what the parent wants to do. We've had a couple of parents that want to put a bead on every single sequence. That takes a long time. Me, I go every 5, every corner, every turn.
Is this a learning process that one family teaches the other how to bring this about, how to create this whole thing?
Yes, but Joe Gale had mentioned that families and friends get together, and that's what happens. You have families come over, they trace with you, they put fabric onto the crinoline, that's what this is called.
So let's say if I were to do it, how long would it take me to start doing something like this? What is the
To
process?
learn- The process isn't a hard process. It just takes time. We can teach you how to put fabric. Some people are real good at putting fabric to crinoline. Some people have other interests. They like to bead. Some people love to stack. I'm a stacker. And that means you have a sequin with the faceted ball with a little bead on top. And it adds a texture to it. And I use mirrors. And the mirrors, on night of coronation, when that light hits these mirrors, we call them the fireflies up on the ceiling. And it's a very, very beautiful.
Okay, how many of these have you made for one dress, and how long approximately has it taken?
My first daughter took me 7 months to make. My second daughter's train took 4 months. And then her princess one took about 4 or 5 months.
Did you have help with that?
Yes, I did. I really did, but it takes up a lot of room in your house. Sometimes we call it the beast.
So you really can't have a small house?
When we remodeled, my husband said, "This is for the trains, right?" Yes, sir. And he has to be very understanding because it takes over. Every countertop, every dresser has the parts to these trains. And you've got these parts, and they're in various stages of development. And like I said, when you embellish a piece, that piece can go on the dress, it can go on the train, or it can go onto a headpiece. And this is a headpiece that I made for my daughter.
How long do these headpieces take to make?
That one took 6 weeks.
And it's heavy.
Yeah, but it's not that heavy. It's weighty.
It's heavy.
It's weighty, but it stays on her head, and that's what the important part was. And it's
Well,
soft.
what I figure when I picked this 4 pounds of sugar, that tells you, and you're holding this on your head, then you have that in back of you, and
Yes.
you have a lot of weight. So if you're short and sweet, you're going to get shorter and sweeter.
You're gonna build up your little core muscles, but all this takes a little bit of thought, because here is Boo Boo. Here is Boo Boo from Yogi Berra. From Yogi Berra. He got traced on crinoline.
Okay, let's show this. How
He got traced on crinoline. I'm gonna have to go up and down. And then I'm just doing the bigger parts. Here is his mouth. Okay?
So we're creating
And your layers. And then you've got his bow tie, which is right here.
Okay, let's
Which
hold
is
that up
another
so
one.
we do it. Okay.
Then we've got his nose, which is here.
I'm loving it.
Then you've got his one eye here, and then the other eye over here. And that's how you get pieces that have layers. So you put one piece on top of another piece on top of another piece. So something that's easy like Boo Boo would take maybe a week to do. And if you've got a train that's like this takes a little longer.
Okay.
This is pure love.
I don't want you to go away because I'll be right back to you because we're going to speak about that train. But let me get Carol over here, and she's got a little bit more to say also about how you work on these things, because she's also one of your volunteers that's
She
working
is.
on the projects.
She is.
And I know she's very dedicated. I'll be right back. Hi, Carol.
Hello.
Are you being good, nice and quiet on this corner?
Yes.
Okay. You have a big story to tell. Why do you participate in this?
Well, I actually started, my passion is reading about 15th and 16th century kings and queens and how they are dressed elaborately, and they have these elaborate costumes and all of the pageantry of walking down Windsor Castle to get crowned. And you just, as you're reading these, you just visualize all of this beauty and glitter. And every little girl wants to be a princess. And the manufacturers make dresses and coats and sweatshirts and little doll houses and makeup and all that to get these little girls to be a princess. So when I found out about this organization, it was like, you can grow up and be a princess.
There you go.
and a king and a queen. And here, these girls are all dressed up, and they're in these gorgeous gowns, and they just glide across the floor. And the boys too, you know, they read Knights of the Round Table, but they can grow up and they're all dressed up in their tuxedo. And some of them have beautiful embroidered and, you know, the beaded capes, and escorting the girls. And it's just like watching one of my books come true, to see all of this
Come true to
glitter.
life.
It's just
Now,
total
one of the other reasons is that you like to get dressed up, and they have lovely functions.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, this is one of the places where when we get together and have dinners and Christmas parties and all that, we dress to the nines. I mean, it is total glitter, and I kind of miss doing that because most of the time everybody's walking around in cowboy boots and jeans.
Well, we're in Texas. What can I tell you?
I know, but I mean, well, you can still do glitter with cowboy boots, but it's just really fun once in a while to just put on all your glitter and all your stones and just, you know, flaunt.
I think this is the only place that I know that you can put on glittery boots with a short skirt and go and water your lawn, and you still look good, and I'm loving it.
Yes.
Okay, and when we come back, we'll continue with Sonia and the train, and we'll start to show you the next part of the program, which is going to be really goody special. We have some of the girls here dressed up to the nines. So we'll be right back.